The Digital Photography Cafe show is brought to you by Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool for your camera, and by ShootProof, the easy way to proof and sell your photos online.
Welcome to the Digital Photography Cafe show. Join hosts Trevor Curran and Joseph Christina as they chat about the art and business of photography.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. This is episode 144. I'm Joseph Christina. On last week's episode, we discussed OS X Mavericks SSL vulnerability fix. Nikon provides D600 owners a brand new shutter for free, and the do's and don'ts of high-end event photography. If you haven't watched last week's show, I encourage you to do so. You can find it at our website, digitalphotographycafe.com, in iTunes, listen with the popular Stitcher, TuneIn, and Xbox music apps, or watch in HD on TiVo. So, all right, guys, we are back, episode 144. It's kind of an interesting week this week. Last week, we talked about a lot of just interesting things. Well, what was going on with all different kinds of things, from Maverick issues to Nikon shutter issues and all kinds of stuff. And we've been harping on Apple for the last couple of weeks about their vulnerability and their SSL, their security issues with both iOS and OS X. They fixed it, right? Apple fixed it. They fixed both iOS and they fixed OS X. Fantastic. Well, to be fair, now Android is in the news with, I would say, maybe even a worse situation than what they have, but I would say at least equal, definitely. So for a long period of time, there's been what is called Android RAT. And RAT stands for Remote Administration Tool. So basically it's a rootkit. It's a method of injecting a Trojan into a piece of software and now be able to manipulate that specific phone or whatever hardware piece that is injected onto from a remote location, right? Simple as that. Well, now they have a new one out called DENdroid, and that one is really picking up popularity. And the main reason for this, I think, is it's so cheap. So some perp out there can say, listen, I want to infect X number of machines, or I want to infect all of these phones that are near me, or I want to do X, Y, and Z. How do I do it? Well, DENdroid's the answer because it's $300 and it's an unlimited license for $300. You can use it to infect as much as you want and then go and monitor any of those infected devices. And what's even more interesting is it's paid for with untraceable currency like Bitcoin. I mean, can you get any better for someone that wants to do something illegal than that? I mean, you're not going to. So basically, it's an APK binder is what it is. It injects malware. It injects code onto or into good code. That's all that it does. It injects Trojans. So the problem with it is it intentionally evades Play Store and their security methods that are behind it. So it doesn't get detected. So sometimes an Android user will go to the Play Store and say, okay, I want to get this game or this specific application. Well, it could be infected by someone's piece of malware, and it's on there just like if it is legit software or perfectly clean, tested software, and it can be contaminated. So it's kind of scary. But what's worse is what it does or what it can do. So now listen to this, guys. The perp on the other side that is now controlling, let's say, your device, he has the ability, or she has the ability, or the organization has the ability to steal your photographs, to steal your text messages, to secretly capture video and audio from your device. That's pretty scary. Could you imagine that? You don't even know it, but your phone now is capturing video and audio and sending it off to the mothership someplace where they can go and do bad things with it. It can record your phone calls. They can even make phone calls with your device and you don't even know it, that the phone calls are actually going through your device. You wouldn't even be the wiser. They can download all of your web history. They can steal your email. They can steal your Facebook account and all VPN account information, which is virtual private network. So if you have one of those, you log in, these people can steal all that also. You do any kind of banking, they steal your account information. They have complete control over your device if this DENdroid application is used to inject the malware onto even a good piece of software. It's scary, definitely scary. So it's like, well, what do you do? What do we do about this? Well, it just reminds me of the days way back when, probably 10 years ago, when Bill Gates was just, he didn't know what to do because his operating system, Windows, was being just hammered with tens of thousands of viruses and Trojan horses, and just the malware was excessive, at least. So it's that same type of issue now with Android. Android is that, let's say, platform of choice, the number one OS for phones, OS for mobile devices out there currently. So it makes sense that the thieves and the criminals will target it. And that's why Apple has always had this upper hand, I guess you would say, in the virus or not getting viruses in comparison to Windows, because it's been all, Apple's always been under the radar. So what do we do? Like I said, the only thing that you guys can really do is do not download anything from any third party. So if it's not an authorized location to pick up your software for your Android device, don't download it, period. Don't download it from there. If it's not secure, don't download it, because we know for a fact that they can even circumvent the security from these secure locations like Play, right? So stick with Play. Chances are they're going to figure out how to kind of pinpoint and locate anything that has been injected, any software that was injected using this DENdroid, and then flag it and pull it. But as of right now, as of doing this podcast and as of doing this TV show, absolutely not. It's just not out there yet. So kind of keep safe. Stay away from the third party, and there's really not too much more that you can do. Just know that this can possibly happen, and just treat your phone accordingly. It can always, at any moment, be recording you, video or audio, stealing your password, stealing everything off it, and then uploading it to a third party somewhere. So just be careful. Anyways, we got a lot of stuff for you this week, but before we go any further, let's go ahead and take a quick break to hear from one of our sponsors.
As photographers, we're always trying to increase sales and profits after every event.
We shoot an event and have hundreds or even thousands of images that just sit on our hard drives.
Perhaps a better workflow would increase sales by getting those valuable images in front of the client.
That's where ShootProof comes in. At shootproof.com, you can have an online gallery for all of your clients' proofing needs.
ShootProof helps increase profits while building your brand and securing your photos without charging commission fees on sales.
ShootProof galleries display your photos beautifully while helping to streamline your workflow and automate more of your business through their intuitive studio control panel.
Once approved, photos can be directly fulfilled through ShootProof's various professional lab partners or fulfilled by you.
All ShootProof plans have the same feature set. You simply choose the number of client photos stored, decide what products to sell, and the price.
Try ShootProof today by taking advantage of their free 30-day trial offer.
As a Digital Photography Cafe viewer, ShootProof is offering a 20% discount off any of their premium plans by using promo code DPC20 at checkout.
ShootProof. Upload, share, sell, print.
So, all right, guys, we are back. If you've listened to the show for some time, you know that I absolutely love Hasselblad. I use Hasselblads for all of my fashion photography, for a lot of the high-end work that I do. Anything that has to go into a magazine, anything that I need really high resolution on, I'll use a Hassi. Right now, we're using a 40. Well, the 50 is out, and wow, what a machine this is. The physical size, just think about this, guys. The physical size of the sensor is almost twice the size of a 35 millimeter DSLR sensor. Twice. Imagine the amount of resolution that is, how much data that sensor is capturing, and it is the case. As I've said in the past, I've used the 40 for all of our high-end work, and I know in the past I've brought a Mark II, a Canon 5D Mark II along just to compare, just as something fun to do. And the difference between the 40 and the Canon 5D Mark II is just, they're not even in the same ballpark. So it is amazing. And now it's even more amazing. I don't even know, that it's just crazy. Normally ISO has always been a problem with the Hasselblad. You're shooting really low ISO, but now they're pushing this all the way up to 6400. So what that means, I'm going to say probably 800 is going to be a really nice ISO without it starting to get grainy, maybe even over 1,000 slightly. I wouldn't go anything higher than that. But what that means now is at 100, at 200, at 400 is going to be rock solid, which is great. The dynamic range you can imagine on such a huge sensor is 14 stops of light is what it's capturing. It's crazy. It's able to evaluate like 19 stops of light, I think it is. Something just off the wall. Now, the raw images, so you get an idea of this, just a single like TIFF, 8-bit TIFF, is 154 megs each. That is a raw capture of 65 megabytes a file. So you're not going to fit too many of them onto an 8 gig card. Let's say, for example, probably like 100 pictures or something, maybe 120 pictures. So they did improve the shutter. So now you can do a 800th of a second up to 12 minutes, I think it is. Now, you think about 1/800th of a second, that's slow. You know, for me, I love the idea of shooting 1/8000th and going into, direct sunlight or being able to deal with all kinds of crazy light issues, which you really can't when you're only able to go up to 1/800th. But for the machine that it is, this is just one of those things you have to deal with. So as far as frames per second, pretty slow, which I would imagine you would guess it would be a 1.5 frames per second, which is extremely slow, but that's not what this is for. You're not going to motor through pictures like you would like a sports photographer. It's more of a deliberate shot. It's just like using an old school medium format or full frame to capture an image to use in a magazine. You're really going to be very diligent about setup and getting things exactly how you want it before you snap that shutter. You're not just motoring through and, as they say, spray and pray. That's just not going to happen. So it has a lot of new features to it, and the features that it does have are just reworked and sound to be great. So looking forward to playing with it. If any of you guys are looking to pick one of these up, you're looking at about 20,900 euro, which if you do the math comes to just under $29,000. So it's not a cheap piece of gear, obviously. And that's for the camera and I think one lens. The lenses that you find, these Hassi lenses, they're all 2, 3, 4, 8 grand, very, very expensive glass, but you really get what you pay for. So moving forward, Sony is in the news this week, and we really like the Sony. Trevor and myself went and took a look at the Sony when we were up in New York for the expo, for Photo Plus Expo, for PPE, and it looks like a really nice machine. Think about a full frame camera, but it's tiny. So you think, wow, that's really great. That's where we're going, right? We're looking for full frame, mirrorless, really quiet, quick, snappy, autofocus. These are things that I'm looking for. Well, it really has not been exactly stellar, as we would say. So the Alpha 7, the 7R, has had a lot of issues, let's just say. And they released, I think it was last week, an update which is supposed to fix a lot of these issues. So it's going to be able to take these, let's call them subpar JPEGs is what it was producing, and create really good JPEGs out of it. The RAWs will still be great. They might even be a little bit better, which would be nice. And they're saying that startup is going to be faster, along with, like I said, the image quality and the JPEG stuff. And the thing that I kind of find interesting is they're unlocking some other features in the camera. So that I like this idea, because what that means is a lot of these cameras, they put things in there that are already in the firmware that they don't release. And then when they feel like it, they can just turn them on, like flipping the switch with the OSs that are in these cameras. And I like that a lot. I like the whole idea also. Now we're starting to see these open architecture cameras where they're running like an Android base that you can go and download apps into your camera, which is kind of cool, right? In comparison to downloading apps into your phone. So it's kind of good. They did a lot of work, it looks like, as far as this update, and also with support of that 70-200 telephoto that they have. It's supposed to have some better support with it. So hopefully the one thing out of all of it that I know was an issue for me when we were playing with that camera, and it's the painfully slow autofocusing system. But sadly, I don't hear anything about that. I don't see anything in the press release. I don't see anything anywhere that they're going to be addressing that autofocus system. Just that it's sometimes painfully slow, especially if you get into any kind of low light. That thing is just hunting like a madman. It's just not finding anything. So all in all, I think it's March. I think they're saying 19th it'll be available. So if you're listening to this just before or after, go and grab that latest and greatest. You always want to keep your cameras up to date when it comes to firmware. It's important because they do a lot of fixes to issues in these firmware releases. So, well, kind of moving forward, we need to talk about Sony a little bit more, and it's a little bit not so great, and it kind of looks at this firmware update and it says, well, the firmware update is great. Thank you very much, Sony. But how about the light leak problem that you're having? And this has been going on for quite some time. We've talked to a lot of people about this, and it's something that is happening right across the board with both the 7 and the 7R. And it's just that Banyan, it's just a leak. It just leaks. It leaks light. And we were looking at some of the guys are fixing it, and you see some of these people that are putting on their lens and then taking some black tape and wrapping around the very base of it to stop the light from leaking. And one of the guys out there, which I just thought was absolutely hilarious. His name is, let me see here, it's Farrell McAuliffe, I believe. And he says, originally he was fixing the light leak with electrical tape or whatnot, and it's like a sticky situation, right? It's kind of nasty. But he found something that works as good or maybe even better. Guys, this is good. It's a hair tie. So if you own that $2,400 camera from Sony, the 7 or the 7R, and you do have this light leak problem that's going on, which has not been addressed as of yet, a simple hair tie might help you out a lot. And what he does suggest is don't use any kind of hair tie. Some of them, they have those metal little clips to them, those little metal connectors. Don't use those. Use the hair ties that are continuous, that do not have that clip on it. So you don't have to worry about scratching your lens or scratching your body. So that's great news. At least we have some of you guys can have that little bit of a fix there. I don't know what Sony's doing here, but they issued this kind of report saying, we know that there's a light leak issue, and we have our engineers currently working at finding a fix to correct the problem. Well, I mean, I tell you, if I have one of these cameras and I paid close to $2,500 for it, that's not good enough for me. I hope they really stay on this, and folks continue to talk about it, and it gets out there in the news. And that's really why I wanted to report on it too, so more people are aware of this. If you have that type of problem, Sony or it doesn't matter who, if you're a major manufacturer and you have a problem that's so severe as like a light leak, you really need to address that first before even playing with any kind of updates of firmware or anything. Get those engineers working 24 hours, 7 days a week or something, because that's horrible. And it's going to be one of those things like Nikon with the D600, where they are now replacing anyone that has a D600, they're replacing the shutters. So that's an expensive proposition. I'm going to guarantee you this is going to be expensive also for Sony. But hopefully they do it, and they do it soon. Anyways, guys, we got a lot more for you, but we're going to take a quick break to hear from one more of our sponsors.
Are you frustrated with slightly out of focus images when you know your autofocus spot was dead on? It's simply not your fault. From manufacturer to manufacturer, and even lens copy to lens copy, there are slight variances to the exact spot where light is being focused onto the sensor. Finally, there's a product that allows you to compensate for those variances and make sharper images immediately. Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool, is an absolute must for every photographer. If you want to make the sharpest images possible, then you need to take control over your camera's focusing system. With the Focus Pyramid, you can calibrate all of your lenses on your lunch break. The Focus Pyramid makes lens calibration quick and easy at an affordable price. So give your lenses a new lease on life and take your photography to the next level. Head over to focuspyramid.com/DPC and get an additional 10% off just for being a show listener.
So, all right, guys, we are back. So this week in the news was Getty, and they have this brand new program out there that allows people to have access to absolutely all of Getty's online archive of all the photographs. And you say, well, what is that possible? It is absolutely possible, and it's going on right now. So what that means is if you uploaded photographs to Getty to sell, as of right now, those photographs can be shared through the web to bloggers, to any type of social media entity, to any nonprofit entity, non-commercial entity. They can use those photographs for absolutely zero, for free. That's all those billions of photographs for free. So we look at it. When I heard this, I'm like, are you crazy? Like, what is going on here? Do we not have it hard enough as photographers? So what? I'm like thinking, so Getty, what are you getting out of this? What is the story here? So basically what this comes down to is they've developed this tool, and it's an embedding tool, to embed images. So think of it as the way you would take a YouTube video and you would share it onto your website, or you would share it through Facebook or whatever. You go to YouTube, it gives you this iframe embed code, and that you would go and stick onto your website or whatnot or wherever, and that YouTube video would show up there. Well, it's the same thing that Getty's doing here. They have this embed tool that they created that does exactly just that. So you'd go onto Getty's site, you'd find the exact photograph that you want, it would give you that embed code, and then you would go and put it into your site, and there you have it, done. Simple as that, and you are able to use that picture. So Getty CEO Jonathan Klein, he came back and he said something to the fact that it's going to be easy to share, it's going to be legal to share, and this will all benefit the contributors and partners of Getty. And I'm like, well, really? I don't know. I know a lot of us that have put images on Getty was for the sole reason of selling photos, right? We don't want them to just sit there and collect dust on our hard drive. So I don't know. I'm like, really? Does that make sense? So he comes back and also says that it's going to benefit, there's going to be benefit to the company and its partners by automatically crediting the image and linking back to Getty's website. That's what this embed tool will do, supposedly to make it easier for the person to find the image on Getty and license it now for commercial use. Like if they want to use that specific image. Really? I don't know. I've always been under the notion that if you get your milk, for free, then what's the purpose of buying the cow? You get it anyways. What's the purpose? Why pay anything? Unless it's explicit, you have to use this for like a magazine cover. Well, then obviously you're going to buy a picture. But if not, I just don't see how this is supposed to benefit us, the partners, the contributors, the photographers, the videographers and whatnot that are contributing 1 billion photographs a year or something. I don't get it. So what I do find interesting is how Getty is what they're going to do with this. And what they've stated here is that it gives them the ability to track non-commercial use of images, right? And the users who take advantage of this company offering this new embed tool, they're basically now able to or will receive ads or whatnot, and also they'll be tracked. So they can now, Getty can push ads to them, number one, and then also Getty reserves the right to collect or to track everything that comes through that embed tool from all the users or the viewers or whatnot. I'm like, wow. So now what is Getty going to do with this? Maybe they're going to try selling them. Someone is, using always X, Y, or Z photographs. Now maybe they'll go and try pushing commercial to them. I don't know. But as of this coming out, Getty is going to have a ton of data on everyone using their images. I don't know what they're going to do with them. I really don't know what they're going to do with this data. But when you look on the site and you see how it's done, it's so simple. Like I said, you just go there, you look for the image, you take that embed code, throw it on your site, and you're done. The HTML code, and it's finished. It's an iframe. So it is super simple. But how does this affect us? What does this mean for photographers? And to me, I look at it as, how about all of these photographers that have been pushing for photography rights, and all of these organizations and groups that been their mission for years to push for rights, copyright. It's pretty much gone. It's almost like Getty has surrendered the copyright. They're no longer like pushing this. And I would say that it's probably my thought that to legally go against these people that are using the images is so costly that they just don't make enough to pursue. It just outweighs. So they had to come up with an alternative. And this is, I guess, their alpha, their iteration 1 of how to fix this, to correct this, where it's just blatant out there. People are just copyright or using copyrighted material continuously. And it's just, no one even cares about it. And there's no way to go after them. So it seems like they're just throwing their hands up and said, this is something we're going to just have to do. And we're just going to have to make this work somehow. Because I tell you, like I said, there's so many organizations that invested so much time and money into copyright. What happens now? It seems like it's all for naught, right? So then what happens to the perceived value of us as the photographer? What is our perceived value? Or what is the perceived value of a photograph now? Next to nothing. I mean, as of late, or probably as of 2, 3, 4 years now, I would say, anyone that's doing stock photography is just in a hill load of crap, right? There's just no money in it. They cannot make anything. Where they used to sell their photographs for $50, $60, $100, they're getting them for $1. The stuff is being sold for $1. Now free. I mean, how do you do it? I don't think that you can. I think stock photography, it's been dying for years. But I think after this, what Getty's doing now, now it's like dead, cold, and 6 foot under, I would guess. If you're not a deep sea photographer, or maybe visiting the moon in the near future to take close-up macros on the moon, I think your stock photography is just finished. I just don't see how this is going to help us and help the community in the least. So I don't know. We're going to keep an eye on this. Like I said, I'm going to guess this is probably like alpha. They're releasing it. It's out there. I'm going to be a ton of uproar. I'm sure we're going to be talking about it and covering it for the upcoming weeks a lot, because there's going to be a lot of people talking about this. But hopefully you guys heard it here first. And just bear in mind, if you do have images on Getty, you might not be making as much as you did years ago, because it's just not going to, it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Free is free, right? And they're giving this stuff away for free. That's just the way it's going to be. But anyways, moving on. We talked a couple of weeks ago about drones and how there was a guy that was flying one of these little drones capturing video for real estate. I think it was a real estate project, and he was selling the video. And the FAA hit him with like a $10,000 fine and was suing and was saying, "Oh no, you can't, fly this, device in the air because the FAA says no. It's just you can't do it." Well, that's all gone. A judge ruled this week that absolutely not. The FAA is incorrect, and there's no guidance that shows that they should be granted this money or any future money from any of us flying one of these little unmanned drones, capturing video or pictures from the air and monetizing it. They have no say in it. As of today, as of, I guess, 3 days ago now, they do not have any say, and you do not have to worry about getting sued for doing it. And all of these people that are producing these drones, like we saw, like we did at PPE, at Photo Plus Expo, this is like big time thing right now. There's a lot of these companies, especially Chinese companies, that are developing these drones that you attach your small cameras onto, like GoPros, and there you go. You can go and fly them around and take aerial shots, or fly them over your dog's head, or whatever you want to do with them. But the idea of flying something in the air, capturing photos or video for profit, is now no longer illegal. Period. It never was illegal, but the lawsuit and the judge determined that, sorry, can't happen. It's not going to happen. And until you guys figure out some other way for it to happen, as of right now, it's a no-go. And public can go and fly their drones at will and make money on it from this day forward. So there you go, guys. Go grab your model helicopters, throw a camera on it, and go fly away. You don't have to worry about it. 500px is also in the news. They come up with 500px Prime. Now, Prime is basically, think about it as Getty, like we were just talking about. You can sell your photographs on 500px. Well, originally when they came up with this idea, they had a 70-30 split. 70 for them, 30 for the photographer. And the photographers were just simply not having it. They're like, "Are you kidding me? Are you out of your mind? We're just not going to have it. We're not going to sell through you, period." So they had to reinvent. Originally, it was a 70-30 split, but then the peak on how much you sell it for was kind of like endless. Well, they changed it around. Now they flip-flopped it. It is a 70-30 split, but in favor of the photographer. So the photographer will get 70% and they will get 30%. Well, you think that's pretty good, but looking at it a little bit deeper, the price is $250 per image. And that is the bottom price is $250 and the top price is $250. So it's $250 for every image that you put on 500px, period. That's it. There's no question. There's no way to go more, no way to go less. That's what it is. You get 70%. So I guess the question here is 70%. Is it enough? Now, what exactly are you giving away? Well, if you read their contract, if you take a look at all the legalese and take a look at what exactly is that you're giving away, basically you're giving away everything. It's 100% royalty is given away. It's royalty free at that point. Worldwide, unlimited use in any and all media forever. You do not own it anymore. That's just it. It is sold. It's given away. It's gone. That's it. Unlimited use, period. So I look at it and I say, well, is that a good enough price? Is that value? Is that good? $175 to give away an image 100%. You never have anything to do with it again. There's no stipulations. There's no rules for this, that, or the other thing. What that means is any picture that someone wants to use off 500px, let's say it's a magazine, whereas normally they would, they might buy a cover picture for $2,000 or $5,000 or $10,000. Well, they'll be paying $250 and you will get $175. But also the smaller guy will still be paying that $175 to you also. But I don't know. For me, I don't know if it's worth it. I don't know if it's worth that $175 for 100% of your rights. Now, do I look at it like, so what can we do to still make this work for all of us? To me, the way I look at it is only upload images that you feel are worth $175. I know that sounds weird, but if there's an image that you know you can get more for, there's an image of someone famous, there's an image of something that is just so odd and unique that you can get more for, don't upload it. Simple as that. Only upload the images that you feel comfortable with, of just giving it away, 100%, giving it away for $175. Upload those and upload those only. I think that's just the easiest way to do it. That doesn't mean don't upload, because we all know that we have thousands and thousands, tens of thousands. For me, I've just over 1 million images, and they collect dust on a hard drive. You might as well have them somewhere to make some money, right? There's no reason to let them sit there and rot. But I think but what this means is it's time to be a little bit more discerning and thoughtful about what you do share and what you do, quote unquote, give away. Because remember, like I said, it's 100% use, period, final. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think $175 is good enough for you? Do you guys like the idea of possibly only putting images up that you feel are worth that $175? What say you? Write us, call us, send us your comments. We always want to hear from you. So, all right, guys, it's time to get out of here. If you guys want to get a hold of Trevor, you can do so through Twitter. That's @TrevorCurrent, or myself through Twitter. That's @JosephChristina, and that's Christina without an H. You can also get the show notes from this episode by visiting digitalphotographycafe.com/144. And don't forget to send your questions and comments to comments@digitalphotographycafe.com, or simply call 440-345-6707. Once again, that's 440-345-6707, and we will see you next week.
You've been watching the Digital Photography Cafe Show with Trevor Current and Joseph Christina. Be sure to subscribe to the show for free in iTunes or through RSS. You can also listen on Stitcher and TuneIn Radio and watch in HD on TiVo. Visit digitalphotographycafe.com for show notes and to connect with your hosts.